All right, so I know it's probably a little dark in here right now. Try to move the mic down some, but I want to try and do an in-car video. It's been a while since I've tested a AA80E, aka the ISF, RCF, LS500, LC500, so on and so forth transmission. 8-speed auto, converter, still not right. It's still not perfect. A lot of people would be okay with it. It's the one weird thing is we're constantly driving it in unlock because it drives smoother. So when we lock it up, it just becomes so harsh. So the problem is with that, though, it's supposed to be locked all the time. Realistically, once you're in drive and in sport mode, unlocked when it's not. So we're trying to figure out why. So Sean had asked me to make this video, and I kind of wanted to drive the car. So it's a little cold today. See, the car starts up. It's been a minute since I've messed with a cold start. So see how it does here this morning. All right. Seems to be pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that, to be honest. And yeah, let it warm up here, and then let's get out on the road. All right, so the car's still pretty cold, only 84 degrees. IAT says 60. But some of the things we had to work through was like making sure that we could read park, reverse, neutral, and drive separate. So like if you have a Prindle switch with manual mode, I had to run that manual wire over directly into the ECU and not through the Prindle. It will read it that way, but it will override everything. It'll assume everything's manual when you leave it on. So we'd go to put park, oops. So sorry, my camera fell down there, but yeah, park, reverse, neutral, all that can go through the Prindle. Manual mode needs to go direct to the ECU, whether it's Elite, at R3, R5, so on and so forth. This way it can say, hey, when manual mode's on, you can make a condition that says manual mode's on, but then the minute you change voltage, which you'll be able to see separately from that, then if it's in neutral, reverse, or drive, go back to that for idling, ramp in and out of the line pressure so it doesn't clunk into gear. That was one of the big things too. So like even going to reverse right now, see how like it does. I mean, there's nothing there, right? Like nothing. The car didn't shake or anything. Pretty darn good in my opinion. Back out here. Close the garage door. The one thing you'll hear is the rear brake squeal. I got the factory NA brakes, and it does that on the first time you go into reverse. It goes like it's like a delay almost, but then it doesn't do it again. Why? I have no idea. So put it in the drive. See there? It's the brakes back there. No idea why. Let's see how this does here. Is it still in drive? I have no idea, to be honest. There's a manual mode. There you go. See. So if I'm going to shift from second to third, and this is all good usually when it's colder the first time I do it, but still see there, the car like hops. And again, whether we keep playing with it, either flares a little bit or it doesn't hit target perfectly. Again, I know it's not going to be perfect, but I've watched a billion of the 8 HP videos with a turbo Lamic or a CAN TCU, and they just drive way better than, I shouldn't say way better, they would drive 10 to 15% better, 20% better than this. And downshifts we have kind of like off right now per se. So let's do complete auto mode real quick. I'm not sure if I hit the button on. It's another thing I got to display to show auto mode on or off. I guess I didn't. So right there, so like here, see if that even shows up on camera. As you can see, it flares, but if we don't let it flare, then it's like so direct, and we're trying to figure it out. I had one buddy try to use an oscilloscope, and just not quite there yet. Every time I think we're closer, which I think we are, it's just, I watch the 8 HP stuff, and I'm like, we're not that. Like, it's just hard to compare. So like right now, go up, and I'm barely getting on it, so I shouldn't say even get on. Those aren't as bad. 5, 6, and 7. Downshift. We don't have the auto blips on right now. I wish I could build a table that would automatically map to each other, almost like a map prediction like we have for the tip and fuel. Like we know the target should be here for this, this, and this. Figure it out over time as we do it. Every time we do it, figure out where it needs to be. I wish there was a map prediction for downshifts. That would be great, just so we wouldn't have to worry about this, finding out what ideal is. Be like, no, it should be hitting this. If you're going this fast at this speed and you're downshifting to this gear, it should be targeting this RPM with this size wheel, blah, 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 blah. If that all makes sense. All right, coming to the stop sign. So again, we don't have the downshift or the blips even on right now. 4 to 3 is the worst. And then 3 to 2 is pretty bad too. As long as you're down at low speed, it's not. So let's put on auto mode so you guys can watch it shift. I won't do anything. I mean, you can feel the whole car jerk as you can watch me. Oof. It's just a very unsettling feeling. And I'm going very slow. At higher, it gets even worse. Again, we have to work on cuts. We have to work on those things. And I've been watching some of the factory Dodge Hellcats and stuff in the 8HPs where they cut power. You can literally hear as they go up in speeds. They're cutting ignition. I'm just trying to figure out how do they keep it smooth? How do they keep the car going forward? You know, I'm just trying to understand how that all works along with Sean here. Like, it just auto downshifted for me there. Again, those tables are set up so this will drive in auto or manual mode. It's just not perfect. I had to shift up to 6, but I let off, so it wasn't. Yeah, and coming to a stop. The donk. That 4 to 3 is the worst. I don't know why it is, but it is. See, there's going to reverse. Very simple. Not a big deal. Just had to stop here at Blue Balls because for my other car wrecking that one, that was dumb. I needed to get new tires for it, so just took care of that. Now I'm going on the main road here. Gotta stop at Lowe's, but see how much it. Like it just. We've tried cuts, we've tried no cuts. I feel like it's just so close, and I mean, I want this to work so bad. I just want it to get to that point that it's fine. Right now, that's fine. Don't pull up in front of me. So I just kind of wanted to show this, guys, because I know people have been asking. It is definitely better. Again, now that we have especially this, it's dumb things that I know people would complain about. So that's all worked out. It does go up, it does go down, auto mode, manual mode, all of it works. It's just finding that last little bit. So if we want to look in the grand scheme of things, we're 85, 90% there. It's that last little bit that's the hardest. Making this or that work, you know, telling these things to work on or off is the easy part. It's to make it all work fluently, I guess, or yeah, I think that's the word I'm looking for, without issue. So hopefully sometime here soon, that won't be an issue. As I downshift. The other thing I always wanted to get to, last thing I'll do before I get off here off the mic is, see, like put it into park. One thing I've always wanted was with manual mode, once I get below a certain speed, I would love the car to force itself back into first gear. I know a lot of other cars do this, like I think the GTR does, some other cars, because you'll forget and you go to take off and like, oh shit, I need to downshift real quick. That's the only thing I wish it did do, like say below 10 miles an hour or something, like, hey, force it back to first, even though it says it's in fourth, put it back to first gear for me. And that's something dumb that I would just like, so that's another thing I'd like to work on, but that doesn't really matter. That's more of a pet peeve than it is for the transmission. But all right, I'm going to shut up now. Let's get back to the house and I'll talk a little bit more about the setup. So I took off my lav mic, so I'm going to have to speak a little louder here, but there is some nice things about all this. This new turbo kit is amazing, and holding it in gear, it feels like a manual. So like, it really is the lower gears are the hardest. So like my 5 to 6, 6 to 7, 7 to 8 are all good. It's the lower gears that we're having, and it's because they run off like 2 different solenoids that like actuate them up. Again, there's a lot more I could go in depth if I'm sitting in front of the computer and explain it more, but I also don't want to reveal too much. As Sean and I both have a lot of time in this, I've done a ton of research. Sean has even more time in it, and I know Sean wants to. This gauge keeps sticking here lately, but I know Sean wants to, you know, use that and sell it eventually, which I don't blame him. He's got a lot of hours into this thing, a lot. wanted to get back here now and talk a little bit again, and I should get in front of the computer, but again, I can only show so much. As you can see, it does have, there's like, and it might not even show up in video because this stabilizes and everything else, but if you're physically in it, I've ridden in the other cars. I know even the 8HPs don't drive with the aftermarket CAN TCU of Turbolamic, don't drive like a factory 8HP car, because again, the parameters, the amount of wire, everything that they do from the factory is insane. You spent years upon years and 100 engineers. I get it. But this thing is still, you know, I'm being honest, I'd rather have the A340 for the smoothness, upshifts, downshifts. When I did have the downshifts perfect, but we kind of ruined all that because we changed it all to get it a little bit better the other side, so I got to go back through it. It's better. So like the upshifts, when you saw the videos, and it doesn't give a shit. I mean, it's taking all that. I mean, right now I'm pushing 25 to 30 PSI. I did a couple at 30, mostly at 25. 6870 Gen 2, it's probably making 700 plus. And so far, knock on wood, it's been taking it. And I'm beating the dog snot out of it. So it should be something we can get. Sean has been more than helpful with me. I got to talk to Haltech at World Cup Finals. I'm hoping they take this a little more serious. Got to talk to a gentleman named Nathan, which apparently was a CEO. And, you know, he was really good to talk with. We explained, you know, we need more tables. We're using a lot of generics. I just would rather have it built into the software itself just to make things a little easier. And then we can use the generics for other things. So yeah, that's that for right now, but let's get into some other stuff. All right, one other thing I wanted to show you guys here before we cut away. I wanted to talk about that wiring for the manual mode versus, you know, using the Prindle controller. So I do have a Prindle control in the car. Realistically, guys, I would recommend not using it. Not that it's bad, but you really only need 5 inputs. You need your park, which is actually showed here. So let's go to selector position here. We need our park, reverse, neutral, and then drive. And our 5th one is our manual mode to override it so that we can have the paddles. You don't need second. You don't need low. You don't need any of that stuff. You're not going to use it because we have manual mode now. There's no need for that other nonsense, right? So why wire it in if you're not going to use it? So realistically, that controller is saving me 4 inputs. If you need those 4 inputs, then sure, absolutely use the converter. But in this case, I feel like I have them over there. Eventually, if I didn't already have the harness built this way, I would push them over. That being said, the reason we have to do it this way is when I had it all ran off the Prindle controller, they all run off one wire. So it's an override switch pretty much. So whatever voltage it's seeing, so when park, it was seeing 0.64 volts, 0.95, 1.25, so on and so forth. So whenever voltage it saw, that's what it said it was in. It was in park, reverse, neutral, which is how you can control the idle, how the converter locks up or unlocks, or how the line pressure comes in, so on and so forth. Well, if you clicked on manual mode, it overrides all this stuff. So even when I would put it into reverse or neutral, it was still saying it was in manual mode. So it would clunk in and out. The way I got around this, just went down here, left all the other wires, park, reverse, and neutral in the Prindle, but put manual mode in its own dedicated input. So I put it over to AVI22, which is just an analog input. And then the minute it didn't see that voltage, so in this case, it would, anytime it's held between this voltage here, once it got out of that voltage range, it knew it was in park, reverse, or neutral. It would read that voltage, and it was good to go. So that's pretty much how it ended up being. It was pretty basic or pretty simple. So that just saves you some headache. And the reason you'll need that is your base closed loop. So for this, you'll see a lot of guys have it by like 1, 2, 3, 4. You want to do it by gear and then by temperature. So when you ramp it out, so you have, I don't know why it does it this way. I wish it was park, reverse, neutral, drive, but it automatically dictates this way. Don't know why. But in drive and in reverse, you can see I have more line pressure or more idle base to help with this. And then on top of it, in reverse or in neutral and park, I have a lot less because it doesn't have any load, right? We don't have anything on it. So when you would go in and out, it was causing these weird swings because you're having too much pressure. When I had just 17.5 across the board, it was causing me issues. The other thing was my proportional and integral gains were such massive swings before, like at like negative, it would do like the percentages were wild. It was having these massive swings. So I tightened everything up. So when we go in and out, it can't make these drastic changes, pretty much, which forces you to be a better tuner in this case. Like it's forced you like get the base pressure, base offset, or in this case, base closed loop on point. Get it as close as possible, then use your proportional and integral gain. And in my case, I just kept it the same for both. It actually worked out well to keep things nice and tight. And you can see here, down to negative 20 to plus 20, I only allowed to do 0.25, right? Which you come down here, up to 30% is what you can do. I barely do anything. I literally let it do very, very little. And it keeps things nice. So when I'm going in and out, when it comes down, if I were to go to rev it up, it comes down real gentle. It just makes it very nice. So I just wanted to show you guys this again.
This isn't even specific for the A80, but it's specific for if you have an A340, A80, any transmission really. It just makes things nice to, you know, when you're coming back down to idle or just going in park, reverse, or neutral, just makes it easy on you. So just wanted to show that.
So I guess this will just be a whole video about the A80, and I'm just going to finish it off here so it's not too long-winded. But yeah, that just went over the trans stuff for you there. Again, I cannot decide if this thing is, yeah, I kind of got to ride in one that had like a turbolamic and stuff in it, and it's good too, but it definitely is not like a factory trans. So maybe I'm just being overly picky. You can tell though, like my body's shifting in the auto mode because I can't predict the shifts. Like I'm just waiting for it to shift. And like when it does make the shift, it's very abrupt. I did talk to Sean today. He's gonna try to put some different logging logic in it to see if we can find out why this is happening. So yeah, because I mean, that's it. I did just go drive it though and beat the dog snot out of it, and it did not care at all, which was awesome. So yeah, all right guys, thank you very much for tuning in today. If you have any questions or concerns down below. Also, thank you very much to Haltech, Sean Tune, and also to Domiworks, who makes this adapter kit already for the transmission. If you guys want it, it is linked down below. It's plug and play, bolted up, ready to go, and it fits. Mwah, chef's kiss, perfect. So guys, check them out. Thank you very much, and talk to you later. Peace.